Hi guys, so I just wanted to quickly jump on here and talk about a subject that I've experienced in my life many times, and that's bullying. Funnily enough, I know it's not a funny situation, but I'm just saying that when I was growing up, like at in my school years, primary school, intermediate, and high school, I was never bullied at school. I'm a '70s baby, and I don't know if we experienced or even heard of bullying back in my days or in those days. I'm not saying I'm old or anything, but it's not prevalent as it is now. Like you hear it on the news, you hear it everywhere. Like my nieces and nephews, they've gone through it. Some of them, not all of them. But yeah, I don't know, it just seems to be a different generation, these days. And like, if back in my days, if there was bullying, it wasn't like the extreme cases we have now with, young kids or kids, even adults, committing suicide over it. It was never like that. I can't remember it ever being like that at school. And if it was just, it wasn't extreme like it is now, So I wanted to talk about my experiences because first time I got bullied was when I was in my mid-20s. I was obviously an adult. And, I remember it clearly. It was devastating, when I was bullied, and it happened in my workplace. And it wasn't a very good experience to go through, and I don't even think at the time I realised that I was being bullied. It was just, I was just going through the motions of having these interactions with certain people that made me feel uncomfortable. And it got to the stage where it went past that point, It's not until now I realise, thinking about it, I'm like, wow, that wasn't a nice experience. But from that experience, like I said, I was really devastated when that did happen to me, and I, at the time, other things happened to me as well. It wasn't only just the bullying. It was a series of things that happened to me. But that's another video. But yeah, so and other jobs that I've been through or been to, I was bullied. So I think in the space of like 15 or 16 years, I had 10 or 11 jobs in that short space of time, and out of all of those jobs, 10 or 11 jobs, I was bullied like in all of them. Oh, no, about except for one job I remember, and that was only because I was only at that job for like a week or so. It wasn't very long. That's the only reason why I wasn't bullied. But I think if I stayed there long, I probably would have been, But the point I'm trying to get across is that every time I was bullied, each time I was bullied, I would get stronger and stronger. It was, sure, it was devastating, and sure, I went through all the motions of actually being bullied. But at quite a few of those jobs, I the people who were doing the bullying were, funnily enough, they were my supervisors or my superiors. So in any of those jobs, I was never bullied by co-workers. They were always by supervisors. And the amount of time the amount of times that I went through the proper channels or the chain of command of putting through a formal complaint through HR or through the client, nothing ever happened, you know, like, and it was almost like they were pointing the finger back at me to say I was the issue. And that to me was bizarre, you know, because of you know, because I'm a truth seeker, but I'm also a truth teller, you know. So I tell the truth. That's just innately who I am. And they don't like to, you know, these perpetrators that I've come across don't like the truth. And that's probably why I've been bullied so many times in my life, you know, because I've told the truth. And so the thing about these bullies is that they have no fucking backbone, you know. Their insecurities, they project all their insecurities on you, and I noticed that my perpetrators were narcissists, and it's almost like they sniffed me out or something, you know what I mean? Yeah, so they're gutless, they've got no backbone, and the times that I have been bullied, it's like they've almost ganged up on me, you know. And I'm not saying this to be a victim, this is my experience. But the funny thing is that every single time I've been bullied, I've gotten stronger and stronger, you know. And now I've got to a stage where I absolutely can't stand bullies, and I will stand up for myself. Now, I wish I had back then, but that's, you know, that's neither here nor there. I've learnt my lesson, and I suppose, you know, in life you have to learn these lessons before you actually say to yourself, no, enough is enough, this is not going to happen to me again. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that these bullies, yeah, I see them all, you know, I see them all the time, wherever I go. And and I don't trust HR. I think HR, every department that you have, they're for the company. They're never ever for the individual, for the employee. They protect the company. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are the experiences that I've had in my life, that HR have always protected the company as opposed to protecting the employee. But yeah, those are the lessons that I've learned, and it's never happened to me. It hasn't happened to me for quite a while, because I think that now I know the triggers. I know what to look for. Not that I do look for them, but, you know, it stands out like dog's paws now. And yeah, I never back down. I'll always tell the truth. It doesn't matter where I am, who I'm with. I will always tell the truth, because that's just, like I said, innately who I am. I tell the truth. And yeah, never, you know, if you see somebody being bullied in your workplace, stand up for them, you know, because these bullies like to pick on people who have got low self-esteem, probably no confidence, like I had back then. And they're sneaky, you know, they do things where there's nobody around. But yeah, I learned to document things. I learned to do a lot of things, so that I'm not bullied, and I'm not even in that position to be bullied ever again. But yeah, just, you know, just believe in yourself, stand up for yourself, and yeah, don't let these people bully you to for, I don't know why do bullies do it? Because they're, like I said, I guess they're insecure, and they're probably jealous of you, or they think that you're going to take their job, or, you know, whatever the case is. Because I'm not like that, you know. I've never been like that. I just go to work, do my job as best as I can, and, you know, some people obviously can't handle that, because you show them up by simply showing up to your job and doing your job properly. So yeah, so that's, I know this is a long video, and I'll probably break it up in 2 parts, but yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about in my video today. Okay, see you guys later. Bye.